Well, hello, everybody. I'm Jennifer Koski, and I'm the Staff Development and Quality Assurance Director. Welcome to our statewide wrap-up of the MSG review. We're really excited about our new developmental QA review process, and we appreciate everyone's engagement in this new style of targeted reviews. The Quality Assurance Development Specialists, Angela, Emily, and Jackie, have really enjoyed getting out to teams and hearing from all of you. This was our first round of the new quality assurance process, which involved targeted reviews rather than a comprehensive case file review. Measurable skill gains were the first review topic. We focused on the MSGs that were reported in order to understand if they were being reported correctly. Each record that we looked at had at least one MSG reported. At this point, the MSG reviews are complete, and Jackie, Emily, and Angela have shared team-level results with each team statewide, and individual staff have received their reports. When the QA development specialists met with teams, in addition to sharing team-level results, they introduced the QA SharePoint site, where all things QA are housed, and they provided brief training on how to get to yes in each QA standard. We won't go into that level of depth today, and instead our intent is to share statewide results. We'll also invite you to revisit the PowerPoint presentations shared with your team and reach out to us with any additional questions. So now the QA development specialists, Angela, Jackie, and Emily will share some of the information learned from the statewide review.
This is Angela Davis, one of the Quality Assurance Development Specialists, and I'll share a quick look at some important dates and our review cycle by the numbers. Our review period for this cycle was January 1st, 2019 through December 9th, 2020. That means that all of the MSGs we reviewed were reported in this timeframe. On December 18th, 2020, the new guidance around how to properly enroll and disenroll participants in education and training programs was published. While we did acknowledge these requirements in our review questions, they were all marked not applicable for this round. We reviewed a total of 292 records. 62 of the records had 2 different types of MSGs reported, while 4 records even had 3 different types of MSGs reported. We are encouraged to see so many MSGs being reported. Most caseloads in the state had at least 2 records with reported MSGs. There were only 14 caseloads with just 1 record with a reported MSG. And there were only 10 caseloads statewide who did not have any records with a reported MSG. This means that there were many records for us to review. And here's a fun fact. The average time to complete a review was 21 minutes and 51 seconds.
This is Jackie Reitler, another one of your QAs. Before we dive into the statewide results, don't forget about the MSG desk aid. You can find it on SharePoint under Forms, and also on the QA SharePoint site under Resources. The desk aid is a great tool to reference as you're entering MSGs into Workforce One. As a reminder, there are 7 standards for the MSG case review. For our first quality measure, is education or training listed on the person's employment plan, 92% of the state received a yes, while 8% received a no. Most of the files reviewed had the corresponding service on the plan at the time the MSG was reported. Just a reminder, don't remove the service too early. The service has to be on an active plan while we collect the MSGs. Also, it's always best to have clear and succinct services that tell the participant's story, rather than internal VR terms or payment mechanisms we use.
And I'm your third QA, Emily Kolbinger. As you all know, we had 3 review standards that received NAs across the board this time because the new guidance around enrollment and disenrollment came out on December 18th of 2020, which was after our review poll dates of January 1st, 2019 through December 9th of 2020. We'll read through the standards now as a reminder, and if you want more detail about these standards, the QA review form and guide are both very helpful tools. You can find these on the QA SharePoint site in the resources section or on the VRS SharePoint in Forms under Q. So compliance measure 1 is Has the individual's start date in an education or training program been accurately entered in Workforce One? And compliance measure 2 is, does the record of service contain documentation supporting the participant's start date in an education or training program? The third standard that wasn't reviewed during this cycle was compliance measure 3. If education or training services have ended, was the individual's completion or disenrollment date entered into Workforce One? Just as we shared in our Team Connect sessions, we want to mention once again that there are 2 reports to help with disenrollment. The Program Year Education Enrollments and Measurable Skills Gain Report, which is found on the reports portal, and you'll also see displayed on this slide, and the Education and Training Enrollment Detail found in Workforce One. Keeping students enrolled when they are done with training makes it appear as though we have more MSGs to report than what we actually do. Alternately, making sure we keep our disenrollment information current means the expected number of MSGs we are reporting to RSA will be more accurate. These 2 reports that we've mentioned help us track and keep accurate who we have enrolled in an education or training program.
This is Angela again. For compliance measure 4, is there documentation verifying each skill gain uploaded in Workforce One? We can see that 70% of the records we reviewed included the necessary information, while 30% did not. When reviewing this measure, we verified that the documentation included with the MSG identified the student and that it met MSG criteria, grades, credit count, etc. While most records did include the documentation, we saw a variety of reasons as to why MSGs didn't meet this standard. We heard from you and recognized that not all schools provide grade reports in the form of letter grades or pass-fail. So what do we do in those situations in order to document passing to collect an MSG? We can include a case note with information from the teacher or school that documents the student's academic progress. For more detail around this, please check out the updated policy and guidance, which gives more information about how to document alternative grading situations. We hope this leads to greater opportunities to gather MSGs. For our 5th compliance standard, is the attainment date of the MSG in Workforce One the actual date the skill is attained, not the date the supporting documentation was received? 27% of statewide MSGs we reviewed received a yes, while 73% received a no. In most of the records we reviewed, we weren't able to verify the attainment date. Many of the MSGs we reviewed were high school grade reports, and those generally don't include term dates. To meet this standard, be sure to include an academic calendar or term dates in the file, and be sure that the attainment date matches the date the MSG was actually earned. We understand that this is a work in progress and anticipate that the number of records meeting standard on this measure will increase now that it is clear that the attainment date must match up with documentation in the file.
And this is Jackie once again. For our final standard in this review, have all MSGs been entered correctly? We have 3% of the state receiving a yes and 97% receiving a working towards. You will all likely recall from the Team QA connections that this standard encompasses so many different things. In order to get a yes on this standard, all of the previous standards had to be answered with a yes. So that includes having the service on the plan, having documentation uploaded, having term dates verified, etc. In addition, if there were MSGs that could have been reported during the review period, but were missed, that was noted here and would have resulted in a working towards. It's likely that the working towards means that you were doing much of the MSG reporting correctly. Just an element or 2 may have been incorrect. So these results are really a sign of all the good work and effort staff have been putting into reporting MSGs. Thank you for all the hard work you've done on this very detailed work.
Hi, this is Emily again. As we wrap up, the QA team wants to remind everyone that they can find their individual results and the statewide results on the QA SharePoint site. And you'll also notice a new newsletter in the communication section. Lastly, you will notice that the resources area will soon be changing over as we transition into our next review topic, eligibility and priority for service. You'll still be able to find all information related to MSGs, including your review reports, in the archive area of each section.
All right, this is Jennifer Koski, and the QA team looks forward to continuing to connect with you as we move on to our next review topic of eligibility and priority for services. As always, don't hesitate to reach out to the QA team with any questions. We really appreciate all your time, attention, and your hard work. We're excited to keep working with you. Thank you.